Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today with our August 4th session called, I had this loaded up on I just lost it, sorry. What Career Strategies presents Uncover.Rediscover You. And we're so excited that we can have our guest speaker, Diane Wiggerton, joining us. Diane is gracious enough to give us her morning expertise on the information that helps us better create our bios. Am I saying that right,
Sure.
Diane?
Yes.
Yep. Let me tell you a little bit about Diane. Diane is author, and I think we were talking about this book a little bit earlier in our morning chat, Hunting to Hired, the Unprecedented Career Guide encompassing strategy and faith. Diane has an expert, I guess I would say, in helping people job search, find that next career, um, create that opportunity, right, to indicate my expertise and how to communicate that so others see that in my bio, my information that I send out to, I guess, anybody, whether it's job hunters or networks or any of those kinds of things, that we can use this content that Diane is sharing with us today. So Diane, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. And I'm excited about this presentation. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Sounds marvelous. Well, thanks all for being here. And again, I can only see a few people at one time. So Mary, when we do a couple things with the chat, if you'll just help me with that on the feedback that we're getting back would be
Yep,
great.
I will.
So again, thanks again. And Miss Dana Fogelmeyer, thank you so much for making the connections as you do. That's what you do. So thank you for that. So today our focus is to work through a document which you can craft to share why you do what you do, because it's the why that matters. And that is becoming more and more and more prevalent. You're seeing it in all advertising, different, commercials on TV and everything. I mean, that has been a trend to really start to uncover why a business does what they do in the storytelling. That's been very, very popular. I'd say probably about the last 5 years. It's seen a strong trend. Instead of just talking about features and benefits, really getting into the why. So in turn, you're going to build a connection with your potential customers, clients, or employers, and you'll move forward in growing your business or move forward in seeking your next position. So I'm going to be talking to both different segments right now. Unless I can tell we're strong one way or the other, then I might be able to switch out. So we'll talk about that. So I wanted to get a little bit of feedback from you. So you could be here for professional development, meaning you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a sales professional, and you want to have a document to help get you sales, get you new clients, get you new customers. Or you could be here for the job search, for a career search, and you need to attract an employer. So I thought what would be easier and less, character traits was if you, or things you have to enter is if you want to hit one, that means you're here more for the professional development, or number two, if you're here because you're actually searching for a position. So if you would be so kind and just hit one or two, and then Mary can let me know here in just a few seconds what she's seeing on that. So because the document will work whether your purpose is to attract, like I said, a customer or client, or whether you're attracting a new career. Because in both scenarios, you're selling the same thing. You're selling YOU. So you're the commodity that's being sold, regardless who you are selling that to. So I just wanted to be clear on that. So, and remember, in a career search, people hire people. Companies don't hire anyone. So you really have to think about, you're trying to connect with that HR person or that CIO, whomever you meet and you figure is the best way in that organization initially to get your foot in the door. That's who you want to target and go after. It doesn't matter if they're not the HR professional, especially if it's a C-suite over an HR professional. They will redirect you to the person that you need to be speaking with. So I have some people get caught up. What do you mean I can send it to a CEO or CIO? It's like, if that's your best shot in the door, let's go that way. We don't always go through the traditional path. And so on the marketing side, marketing at its core is getting the right message in front of the right person at the right time. So that's what all marketing is about, all the internet marketing, hoping that, you see that ad when you are in the mood for that new car. That's why there's so much tracking and so forth, and redirecting on internet ads, because they want to keep on you, because eventually it's going to be the right time. Today is the day you need to buy that new car. So again, marketing at its core is getting the right message in front of the right person at the right time. And again, right now, you're the message. And as I was saying a minute ago, the gal behind me here with the little hand over her mouth is like, don't keep yourself a secret. You're the message. So let's get you out there. So Mary, can you tell me real quick kind of what you're seeing on the...
Yep, this is a real quick, looks like we have about, I'm going to say the 70-30 split, 70% for professional development, 35% for career.
Okay, well, great. I'll still attempt to address both then. I've addressed both during the PowerPoint. So during our time together, this is just a quick overview of what we're going to do. We're going to go through and define what a persuasive bio is. We're going to discuss the purpose of the bio. We're going to share what the bio will do for you. We're going to review 6 mistakes to avoid. We're also going to get specific and outline the process for day 1. Outline the process of what you do day 2. We're going to have some fun and critique an actual example that I have in the slide deck. And then we're going to talk about some additional benefits of what you can use the bio for as well, some other suggestions. Sound good? Great. Hopefully you're all there. So first we're going to start out by reviewing what is a persuasive bio. So it is a document intentionally crafted to persuade the reader to take some action. And hopefully that is in different forms. That could either be emailing you, it could be calling you, it could be maybe just staying on your website longer, because you can use your bio on your About Me page, or Meet the Founder, or Meet the Owner, whatever you want to call it. It's just something to engage them and keep them in the process of wanting to know the next step about you. And as I have on there for those in career transition, this is not your cover letter, and it's a completely separate document. So this is more powerful than a cover letter, because this gets to talking into a little bit more about you. So when you craft the business bio, the audience is either B2B or B2C. So you need to be mindful of that when you are crafting it. And again, that is further on down the process. I'm just trying to get your mindset open that, those are 2 different audiences. What you offer business to business is different than what you offer business to consumer. So you need to make sure that that's clear and not try to have one document cover both. Same thing in crafting a career bio. As I mentioned earlier, the audience could be an HR professional, someone in a corporation, or it might even be a center of influence. So maybe you want to send this document out to some of your peers and colleagues and have so that you're top of mind and they're open and looking out for opportunities for you as well. So this is a big saying in anything in business. You always want to begin with the end in mind. So, what do you want, excuse me, the reader to do? Who is my audience, who I'm speaking to? Because that will help you draft it and craft it in a more specific manner. So like I said, you know what you're doing and you're going to define that audience. Okay. So the number 1 purpose of crafting this is so that you stand out, okay? You want to reveal that you're either the best candidate for the position or you're the best professional within your industry. So Mary, do you know a few of the industries that we have in the room?
I do not. Maybe we could have a few people come off mute and share
Yeah, you want to just tell me what industry you are actually in?
I mean, I can do it from the registration I'm looking at, but
I think many of us are in the learning and performance industry. That's what holds APD participants together.
Okay. All right. So there's competition in that space, is what you're saying, Dawn?
Absolutely.
Right. So you want your document to have you stand out from all of your other peers. So that's, what you want to do. So if you're in the insurance industry, that is a huge one. There's so much competition for property and casualty, or, really any type of insurance. So if you're in that space, you want to make sure that you set yourself out apart. Financial advisors, there's a tremendous amount of competition for financial advisors, real estate professionals. So there's some industries that they're just so smothered and covered, for lack of a better word, that you know, you really need to position yourself differently, and it's part of your branding as well. And then certainly when you're a candidate for a position, there could be multiple hundreds of different applicants that are all in the same candidate pool. So you're trying to pull yourself out from the rest of the herd so that you are heard. All right. So you want the reader to really think, wow, this person is perfect for the position, or this, you know, person is perfect for me to work with. That's part of what you're trying to solve. Okay, so we're going to start to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty. So these are 5 things a bio will do. So it's going to intertwine your background, your education, and your work history with your why. And you're going to twirl this story so that it's an interesting and narrative story, so someone wants to keep reading. So, you know, the opening paragraph obviously needs to have some pizzazz and some punch so that they keep reading the rest of the document. So, and we'll get into some hows on that here soon. I'm just, again, trying to let you know what you're trying to create. So it's going to provide a clear picture of who you are on the inside, and again, why you do what you do. That goes into sharing what makes you tick. So during the bio, you may find yourself becoming a little vulnerable, which is fine. You know, that's okay if you come across that way on paper, that you're vulnerable. And the other word, you know, that's popular these days is authentic. So as long as you come across as an authentic you, that is fine. You don't have to be perfect. This is not a document that's trying to put you on such a pedestal that you're an absolute perfect angel, although I know all of you are. But the document isn't necessarily going to be depicting you in that manner. So you do want to show that you're knowledgeable and an expertise in your area, or how your background still can facilitate that. So you might not have direct knowledge in a certain area if you want to transition into something different, but you're going to be able to show in that document how your past has prepared you for the current. So that's what I'm talking about with connecting the dots. So you have to figure that out for the reader. And I have this happen a lot in the career search, where people are assuming that the HR professional is going to read their background, figure out what traits, what character traits they're going to bring to the table, or what transferable skills they have. And you're putting too much work on the HR professional. They're not going to do that. So you need to hit them right between the eyeballs and say, hey, this is why my past has prepared me, again, to be the perfect candidate here and now. So a persuasive bio will persuade the employer, like I said, to pick up the phone, contact you, email you, any of those ways of communication, or it's going to persuade a customer to do business with you. So if a potential customer is narrowing it down to 3 different individuals that they want to work with, this could be your tipping point. This could be something that you offer that they have, that you've sent along with your prospectus or proposals. And they're like, wow, you know, I really feel like I've gotten to know this person. And certainly that comes through in your Zoom calls or working on the phone with somebody. But again, it's still that extra layer you have of reinforcing who it is and what you do. So hopefully you're going to leave the employer with a can't wait to meet you mindset. So it would be wonderful if, you know, like on Thursday, let's say an HR professional has 5 interviews that day, but they really can't wait for the interview with you because they've read your bio and they are looking forward to that interaction, that meeting, that interview. That's a completely different mindset than someone dreading you coming in, you know, to their office for an interview. So again, it's going to help paint that picture and set you up. And same thing with a client or a customer. You know, you want them to be excited about meeting with you, and it's going to set you apart from everybody else in the same sea. All right. Most importantly, a persuasive bio is going to incorporate and share your values and what is important to you. So I want you to start pondering over a little bit in your mind some words that come to you about values and what's important to you. And we're going to break this down into the two different groups that we have. So for those of you who are business owners, business professionals, I want you to think about what values are important to you in a client. So what value are you looking for? You know, what values does your client have to make them an ideal client for you? And we're looking for some audience participation. So can some of you jump off mute and just shout out what comes to you?
I would say a strong desire to do better or to improve.
Okay. Anyone else? So again, think about your client in your head.
Transparency and honesty.
Awesome. Anyone else want to throw anything into the hat?
I would say truly caring about the stakeholders.
Okay.
Sorry, Doreen, I didn't mean to step over you.
That's okay. Sorry, Dawn. I would say people who are interested in lifelong learning.
Okay.
I agree with that, and collaboration.
Okay. I'm jotting these down. Okay, I think that's good for that list. So now we're going to flip over to those that are in career transition. So what values are important to you to find in an employer? So a company that you're going to work for. What should they emulate?
Some of the exact same things we talked about as a client.
Amen, I agree.
I would hope that they have really good benefits. They take care of their people first. Take care of the people, they'll take care of the business kind of value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Lori, about caring about the people at its core, as opposed to the, the dollar.
Right. Anyone want to throw anything else out?
I would say honesty and transparency. I know Don mentioned that before.
Yep.
It was Don.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I am going to show you the next slide, which has 20 values on it, and none of them are right and none of them are wrong. But these are the types of things that we should be thinking about and looking for. So, and they're not paired in any kind of groups or anything together in the twosies, but diversity, philanthropic, progressive, innovative, competitive, transparent, selfless, driven, authentic, mission-driven. This side is all covered up. Mary, can you read those down for me, or Dawn?
I can. Yep. This is Mary. Humble, collaborative, impactful, empathetic, respectful, forward-thinking, supportive, entrepreneurial, inclusive, and focused.
Right. So this is a great list to have kind of in front of you as you are thinking about crafting your own bio and which of the words that you can insert. So there should be 6 of these on here that really resonate with you. So you might want to jot down those 6 that really speak to you with what you're looking for. And 3 of them should be your deal breakers. Meaning if that client or customer or that employer does, if they don't have these 3, then you're going to basically walk away. And what happens, especially in the career search, is people are certainly hungry for a position, and I get that. And as they get closer, they start to wane away from their values because they want to be employed. And I really have to be that conscience for them, and that little person standing on the one shoulder saying, okay, this may be great short term, but long term, this isn't going to work out. If their values are different than yours on the inside, you can fake it for a while, you can take it for a while, but eventually you're either going to leave, they're going to leave you. In other words, you're going to get fired. A customer will fire you, or you're going to fire a customer. So the long-term stress of going through that isn't worth it. So it's better to stick to your guns, know what your values are, and have those in your mind, heart, and soul, and have your ones that are definitely ones that are deal breakers that you're not going to overlook. And like I said, I know that's hard sometimes in the heat of the moment when you need that transaction and you need that money. But again, it's kind of a short-term gain for long-term pain, as I like to say. So those are important words to know. Okay. All right, and I love this slide. Remember that the work is not in crafting the values, it's living them out. So if you have that list of the 6 things that really resonate with you, you need to be working and living in those every day. You can't say you're philanthropic and then, never donate a penny to anything. That's just counterintuitive. I mean, you're not living out a philanthropic life if you're not helping with nonprofits or, like I said, donating of your time and money and things like that. So you have to walk the walk and talk the talk when you decide on what is really important to you. I love that slide, by the way, that last slide. Okay, so here are 6 common mistakes that individuals make when they're writing their bio. The first one is an extensive use of industry terminology. So again, the document is about you. So it's not about the job or the position 100%. There needs to be a nice mix of that. So again, in the career search, the resume is the document that talks about industry terminology. That gets into all the weeds of all the different positions you've held and the, so that document serves that purpose. So the persuasive bio is that introduction, why you want to do business with me, why you want to hire me. So you need to leave all the industry gobbledygook off of that. So you want to make sure that the bio does not depict you as cold, insensitive, or impersonal, or that you are arrogant and intimidating, or come across as a know-it-all. And you mentioned some of those phrases earlier when we were talking, open-minded, they open to learning, those kinds of things. So if a HR professional gets wind that you're going to come across as a know-it-all, you probably won't even get the interview because they're going to be probably intimidated to even interview you. And it's not going to be a very pleasant interview if they feel that you're a know-it-all and aren't going to be open and receptive to what they have to tell you possibly about the position, or again, your clients and customers, if they feel they can't speak with you and have a back and forth dialogue, if it's just, you being, like I said, giving off that impression. So you want to keep the tentative language to a minimum. So the words could, should, maybe, perhaps should not be in your bio. Your bio is stating what it is that you do, and it's not that middle ground. So if you are using extensive tentative language, what that's really going back to, it speaks to a lack of self-confidence. So that's really what you're saying when you utilize the tentative language. And you certainly don't want to speak the entire document in the past tense. This is not your obituary, so you need to talk in the present tense. And there's a way to phrase your statements and your sentences so that you are still a live, living, breathing human being, and everything you are emulating isn't always in your past. It's not everything you've always done in the past. It's still part of who you are today. And if it's not part of who you are today, then you need to leave it out. So, because the document is a living, breathing document of who you are in the moment and who you emulate and who you're going to be in the future when you're working either with a client or with a customer. And then this last one is a pet peeve of mine. So you've all seen the bios that end with the age-old cliche, Joe resides in Gahanna with his spouse, 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a picket fence. And again, I'm being a smooch facetious with that, but they end that way. So, and the reason that's on there is they're trying in one sentence to show that they're human, right? The document's all riddled with what they do instead of why they do. So that last sentence is that last ditch effort to say, hey, and by the way, I am a human being, I have a family and so forth. So to me, this is derogatory to the family. This is derogatory to your wife and your spouse, or your spouse and your kids. If they are an important part of your life and your mission and your purpose, they need to be up in the bio. So if your spouse is a strong mentor to you, you need to share that up in the context of the bio, not as an afterthought. So that is something that's very important to not end that way. There's a better way to end. Okay, so we're going to get into the process. Okay, so we talked about what the bio is, what it should do, what you should not do with it. So when you sit down to craft it, you need to let your family know that you are going to be working on a document and that you are not to be interrupted. So some people go to the park, some people go to libraries when those were open. I mean, you need quiet space. You need to turn off all your electronic devices. You can't be pinging, having emails come in on your phone, text messages. It's going to distract you and derail you. So that is not going to do you any service. So you need to decide to set aside 2 to 3 hours. You know, the younger you are, you don't have as much history to reflect. So you know, it might only take you 2 hours to knock it out if you're in your early 20s. Might take you a little bit longer if you're, you know, in your 40s or 50s, because you have more time to reflect on, obviously. So you want to set aside the uninterrupted time and make sure you have a quiet space. So you either can do it on real paper that still exists, or you can craft it on a doc, you know, laptop, or open up a Word doc, whatever is easier for you. But again, if you get on your electronic device, you may be getting other notifications, it may be a distraction. So I encourage people to actually do it on a piece of paper. So as it states here, you're going to make 2 columns. The left-hand column, we're going to go through these different tasks, events, activities, you know, thought points. And then the right-hand column is going to be your why column. So you're going to start by outlining your personal history. And that's just going through your life in chunks of time, you know, up through, you know, junior high, you know, where was I living? What was going on? You know, maybe if you made a change, your family made a change in high school. You know, you want to think about your life in chunks of time in that manner, more in your education, not from an educational point of view, but I mean, where you were, like I said, up through junior high, high school, then your college, post-college, if you went to any trade schools or technical schools, you're going to think about all of that. But you really want to start to think about why those changes were made, why your family moved, and jot those down in that why column. And if you want to be that detailed at that point, think about what lesson did you learn? So if you moved, you know, 5 times during your junior high years, what character trait did that start to instill in you? You can start to jot down some notes along that way. You know, talk about your education. Again, outline your education, where you went. And this is your outline, so you don't have to get a whole lot into all the specifics. I mean, you know where you went to school, but just, you know, the first college you went to. And think about, what did you want to be when you grew up? It's a great question to ask yourself, and see if your educational history or educational background is in alignment with what you wanted to do in life. Because that's great when there's a strong connection there. That's something that can be tied into the bio, you know, living out your dreams since, you know, a young child. That's a good that's a good story in there. Certainly want to outline your work history. Again, this is not your resume. So again, think of chunks of time. And again, the why. So why did you take that job in the first place? What did you think you were going to accomplish through that position? What difference did you think you were going to make? Are some of the questions you want to ask yourself and answer in that why column. Why did you select that school? Some of the times it's financial, you know, that was the reason that you selected college A over college B because of financial strains, and you were working your way through college. But those are good things to insert into your story too, because it talks about your character. You want to list the reasons that you are passionate about your position that you have or in your career. And a lot of people are like, wow, I'm having a hard time putting that in words, you know, why I am passionate. So the best reason to ask yourself, I can't see everybody on the chat. I want to pick on somebody real quick. Beth Mast.
Yes.
What's your profession?
I work at a public accounting firm. I'm in our learning development, so I do a lot with recruiting and performance management.
Okay. So you would ask yourself, if you were no longer in recruiting and performance management, what would I miss?
I would miss interacting with people that are trying to get into the profession. So people that are kind of in the initial learning stages, and kind of being able to like educate them and talk to them about their career goals.
Okay. So that is part of what you would want to put in the story. So
Right.
if you pose that question to yourself, what would I miss if I no longer were a whatever, and nothing comes to mind, you draw a blank, then you're in the wrong profession.
Well, and not,
Yeah.
just to kind of interject there, it's interesting because I went through a career change at the firm I'm at right now. I'm actually a CPA by background. So I started out as an accountant.
Yes.
And moved into this role. So I don't necessarily have education around this. But when I went through that career change about leaving as a CPA and accountant, I asked the question honestly in a roundabout way. And it was developing staff, working with people at the firm, trying to focus on the career development. So I don't know that I did this as, eloquently as you've described, but I think in some way I tried that pro-con list to an extent.
Sure.
What would I miss and how can I integrate that into a career change?
Yeah, so you related that back to yourself. What would I miss if I no longer were a CPA, let's just put it.
Right.
And you were right. Yeah, there's a lot that I wouldn't miss too much,
Right.
staring at documents all day, analyzing numbers, crunching numbers.
Right.
If those things, weren't going to be a void in your life, then yeah, that's a perfect reason to segue into some areas that seem to be more meaningful for
Right.
you. So that's good. You're right. It was kind of like a different way of looking at it, but that's what you want to look at and make sure you position yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input.
Yep.
So also you want to think about the nonprofits that are important to you. And again, some people gather a list of nonprofits, like they gather shoes. I mean, you need to make sure that there's a reason that you are with a nonprofit, and if there's not, leave it off. So you want to talk about the nonprofits that are important to you because of either personal struggle, again, this is where I'm talking about being vulnerable in this, maybe a family loss, or to honor someone's memory. I mean, those are great reasons to be associated with a nonprofit. That speaks so much more to character than just having a laundry list. I interviewed one lady one time. She was involved in over 125 nonprofits. I mean, it was almost comical. Like, are you kidding? Why not just add one more on? I mean, she wasn't actively involved and passionate about everything on that list. She was just trying to make a list because she thought it looked good. So, and people will read through that at a certain point. And then same thing with your associations and organizations you belong to. Really make sure that they tie in and are in congruency with what you're looking for. Again, if you were in an organization at one time that doesn't really fit into what you are doing now, then you can leave it off. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You really want to start to pick and choose the part of your life that you want to share, and that goes, like I said, in conjunction with either the position you're trying to get or the clients and customers that you're trying to attract. Okay, next slide. And then my note at the bottom, I'm sure you all see that, but as you craft this column, your whys are going to become repetitive. It's helping you start to pick out congruencies in your own life. Oh, I see why I did that. I see why I did that. That goes all the way back to junior high, for pity's sakes, something that was important to you. So that is what is very cool. So on the first day, you are focusing on the writing style as well. So you've got the content, but you want to think about how you want to package it, position it, and so forth. So you want to write from a third-party point of view. And I know this seems odd at the beginning to talk about yourself in the third party, but it makes the document more eloquent and it elevates you. So think back to, again, jumping everybody back to junior high or high school. Think about when you had to get up in front of the class and give a book report, right? And you stood in front of the class and said, "Hi, my name is Amanda, and my book report," you're talking in the first person and you sound very juvenile. Or the other comes through where it's all about you. I've done this and I've done that and I'm the best at this and I won that. So when you write in the first person, you have a tendency to go one extreme or the other. You either sound arrogant or you sound childish. So it's best to avoid that and write in the third party point of view. Now, if you want to quote yourself, that's fine. Just put it in quotation marks and then reference, I, if it is something that you say, that is absolutely fine. And you should have a couple of those sprinkled in. That looks good to have at least 2 different quotes from your own self sprinkled in. When you get down to the biosynopsis, you might only be able to have 1, but it's good to have that flavor of what you say. So you do want to vary the sentence structure and how you refer to yourself. So every sentence should not start with Dana. Dana da 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 da. The next sentence Dana da 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 da. The next sentence Dana da da da. Again, you sound juvenile. Like, don't you have any other way to start off a sentence than with your first name? So insert some she's and some hers, and really make it interesting so the reader wants to continue to read. And I never, never, never refer to someone else by their surname only. Referring to yourself by the last name really changes the context of who you are. I avoid that like the plague. So again, back in the day, it was a little more predominant to refer to someone by their last name only. But again, and you'll see it in journalism, you'll see it in different articles. And again, to me, it changes the flavor of who that person is. I want to know, number one, if it's a man or woman, and you lose some of that with just going with someone by their last name. It's awesome to end with a feel-good statement or mantra or personal quote. So if you have something that you live by taped to the wall in your office, or up on a bulletin board, or if you carry something in your purse, I mean, if there is a saying you hold to high esteem and you are attempting to live by, that is a great way to end a bio, with that feeling, because it emulates emotion. And people, when they're finished reading it, that's when they're like, man, I can't wait to meet this person. They sound awesome, because you stirred emotions. And you do want to keep your bio to 1 page. I mean, that's when it's typed. So when it's actually typed out, you want to keep it to 1 page. If it gets longer than that, no one is going to read it anyway. So just keep it to 1 page. They're going to look at it and go, wow, this is too much. And then be mindful of the font as well, the size of the font that you're using. Don't use 8 point. No one will be able to read it. So, keep it, I like to use about 11. That's a good one. So it still, fills the page, and you have some white space, some negative space behind some of the letters. So after you finish the first day, you're just going to let it percolate. So once you've crafted that outline, gotten your draft done, you're just going to leave it alone. You'll be exhausted anyway after this portion. So just let it lie and get on with the rest of your day. So day 2 is when you're going to start your editing, start your teacher in you, and you're going to get out your red pen, and you're going to circle your bio and see how many times you used any of these 15 words. So circle, circle, circle away. And then what you want to do is either replace the word with something that sounds more eloquent. That's why your thesaurus will come in handy. Or eliminate the word altogether. It could be filler that you don't need at all. And that's what happens as well. People want to add on the and more, and you don't need that. Just state what you have to state. And as you can see, several of these have to, again, deal with maybe, could, quite, should, all that tentative language that you don't need in there. You either do it or you don't. It's no halfway in between. All right. So still on day 2, you're still doing the editing process. So once you change those 15 words to, like I said, either eliminate them or make them better, you are going to read the bio aloud. And this is a huge, huge tip. So make sure that you actually read your bio aloud. You're going to find so many boo-boos when you read it aloud. You either skipped a word, or you added in a word. It will help you immensely by reading the bio aloud. You're going to customize it based on the audience. So again, if you're business to business or business to consumer, or if you want to address, both, you're going to need 2 bios. So if you're a business professional and you want to focus the document on B2B relationships and getting more companies that work alongside with you, or that you can do work for them, like I said, a business to business relationship, then that's going to be crafted with a little bit of a different taint on it than if you're business to consumer, if you are attracting people that actually are going to be your clients. So that you've got the core bio done, which is great. And then this is just the small editing and customizing it. And again, make sure your values are in alignment with the clients or customers. So if you know that customer segments are looking for these particular things, so right now, obviously with everything going on in the world. There are certain values that individuals are looking for. So those would be good to sprinkle in. Possibly 2 years from now, that might not be as important. So you might not need to keep those into your bio. So again, it's a living, breathing document that works with you. On the career bio side, you can tweak it for different industries. If you're going down some different paths, again, you want to show how your background has prepared you for that company and for the position that you are going after. So once you have it done, it's not a one and done, is what I'm trying to say. Unfortunately, you can't just do one and then go, okay, great, I got that done. I never have to do that again. It is a living, breathing document that you need to continually tweak, and you want the reader to say, man, this person sounds perfect. You're trying to matchmake yourself as much as possible, especially in the career world.
Diane?
Yes.
We have a question, and I think this is timely. I know we were going to hold these till the end, and we've got some more to go through. It is on the words to, circle when you edit. What about the words of think and believe? I think, I believe.
I think is also tentative, so I would refrain from that one. You know it, or you either know it or you don't. So
Okay.
in the context of the sentence, if someone had a bio and they had the word think in there, I probably would challenge that sentence and see if we could come up with something that still says what you want to say, but says it better. Okay. All right. So now for the fun part, ladies, I'm going to show you a real bio. Obviously, I did not write it, but a real bio, and it's 4 paragraphs. So for the sake of space, 2 paragraphs are on slide 1 and 2 paragraphs are on slide 2. I wanted you to be able to read it. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes on each slide. So I want you to read through this, and I want you to jot down your observations, your suggestions, your concerns with this bio, just what I want you to get some feedback. So we'll do that once we reconvene. So we'll give you 2 minutes, and you can go ahead and read slide 1, please. Okay, that's about 2 minutes. Hopefully everybody's good there. And then here is the rest of her bio. Whoop. Wow, quite an alarm. Yeah. All right, ladies. Talk to me, talk to me. What do you see? If anyone wants to come off mute.
It felt like as I was reading it, just like a laundry list of things. And as I got to the bottom and read, I kind of forget what I read on the first part now too. Like if she said anything about a why anywhere, I don't remember that.
She did not.
The names are impressive. I mean, she's got some good stuff, but it just felt like it was just sort of, you know, all these things without a lot of like breaking it up or kind of weaving in like things that happened or any of that.
Excellent. Who else?
Sounded like a resume.
Very good, Lori. Amen. Yep.
Lots of passive language, incredibly passive.
Excellent. Actually, it says 6 times. Has sung, has the, I mean, I counted them, of course, the first time I read this over, and it is in the past tense. She sounds like a has been to me. That's harsh, but she sounds like a has been. Like, do you even perform anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're kind of left to that. What else?
There's some inconsistencies in how she represents the production titles. So sometimes she uses quotation marks, other times there are no quotation marks, and also a couple typos and punctuation and the wrong word choice, like form instead of from.
Excellent. One other thing that we've talked about, I know Dana hit on it a little bit, but
I don't know if this is it, Diane. It's just not focused. I wouldn't know what she's driving for in her bio. It seems she's done a lot of different things, as Dana had said, a lot of variety. I'm not sure which one of those she's really passionate about and the direction that her bio is taking us to.
excellent.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. When I read the first page, I had to go back to the top of the first page and be like, wait, what does she do again? Is she an actress? Is she like a composer? You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, she's an actress. And then on the next page, it's like, oh, she sings. Okay, so just some sort of focus there seemed to be missing.
I agree. So if you read this, would you be excited for her to walk out on the stage? Yes, no?
I mean, from reading this, maybe not, but she obviously has an impressive career, so.
Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't. So I attended a performance. She was performing, and this was the bio in the program. And of course, I'm the only one in the entire audience that's reading her bio with this lens on. But I almost chuckled to myself when I was reading it. I was like, I could have cared less if she came on stage or not, because I had no feeling of what drives her. Why is she passionate about this? Is this something that's been in her family for, you know, a generation, 2 generations? Is she carrying on some kind of legacy, you know, in performing? I mean, there's just so much of the story that's not being told. And again, I realize I'm looking at things in a different lens, through a different lens than a lot of other people. But yeah, when I read that, I was like, oh, great, she's coming out on stage. So she wasn't bad when she got out there, and you were able to, you know, feel her vibe and her personality and so forth. But again, it was just really interesting. But this was in right in a program, and I was just it was actually a disservice, I felt, to her. So all right, well, thanks for playing along with that, ladies. Hope that was kind of fun. So the challenge is, though, once you craft your own bio, you need to go back and be as critical on yourself, and again, challenge yourself to what you've said, and step away, you know, once you read it, and really think, how does this bio make me feel? People purchase on emotion and validate with analytics. Talk about that all the time. So they're going to buy emotionally and then justify it with analytics, with features and benefits. So keep that in mind. All right, we already did that. So additional benefits from from crafting your bio, as I mentioned earlier, it is easy to customize. once you have the main core of it done, because you are still the same person, but you might want to highlight certain areas or downplay other parts of your background and so forth, if it's not pertinent to the client or the customer that you're trying to attract or to the company that you are looking for. So again, you have the main thing, the main core crafted. You do want to craft a shorter version of your bio. Typically that's 3 paragraphs. So you want to keep your same opening paragraph. You want to keep your same closing because both of those are strong. So then the challenge is to take the middle paragraphs and squish them down even further, get rid of some of the extra and make that a clean statement or a clean paragraph in the middle. And that's great on your LinkedIn summary. So you can put that in the summary section. And what that does is it shows consistency. So again, let's say you are looking for a career position and you send this document, they get excited about you, they go to your LinkedIn bio and it has nothing to do with what you do or what you say or what you said you believed in. So if there's inconsistencies there, that goes back to integrity. You know, well, which is true? Is the LinkedIn profile more relevant to who this person really is, or is this other document they sent me? So you want to have consistency between those 2 documents. And also, as you get more comfortable with the bio, there will be key phrases that will flow out of it that you will utilize on a frequent flyer basis. When people ask you to tell them about yourself, say, could you tell me about yourself? You'll have some key phrases that you have put some thought to because they're part of your bio. And again, you're not going to recite the whole thing, but you'll have some key phrases that will be good fallbacks for you when you need to resort to those. And it's easy to update based on your accomplishments and certifications. And don't forget about that. So if you do get a new certification or a new degree, make sure, like I said earlier, that you go back and your document is a living, breathing document and that you add those new accomplishments onto the bio. That's good to do. All right. So one of the last thoughts I want to leave you with is, you are now equipped. You've got this bio to tell the world about you. And again, be yourself because everybody else is taken. So stick to who you are and make sure that the bio reflects that of who you are. So we do have a little bit of time for Q&A, I think, correct, Mary? I'm trying to.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, all right, sweet.
Yep.
If you have any other questions?
Yeah, I'm looking at our comments here in the chat box. Some good comments that people remember. Forget what you said, but always remember how you made them feel. I think that seems very appropriate. But let's open it up and see if there are any questions from the group.
So Diane, one of the things that I'd like the group to know that you showed me that I thought was just new and very innovative from my perspective was you took the Columbus Business First magazine and kind of went through it page by page. And based on what it is you were looking for, you kind of analyze it. And then that helps you think about maybe who you might want to connect with on LinkedIn or where you might want to go from maybe a networking perspective, or how, for some folks, how they might craft their cover letter if they're applying for a job there. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yes, that's a whole another session I can do. So I call it read between the lines and apply yourself. So it's the intention is for people that are in career transition, although you can use it B2B. But for those that are in career transition, what we do is we read through, as Dana said, Columbus Business First, publication that comes out every week. And you're reading those articles for what it is and for what it's not saying, what it's implying. So if it's an article about, so for example, the one last week, there was articles about Amazon opening up another or 2 actual distribution centers. So if you're in logistics or if that is something of interest to you, the time to apply to Amazon is now, because they are going to be, hiring thousands and thousands and thousands of people for these new projects, these new areas. So to get in the hopper ahead of time is a wise strategy versus once they actually publish the different positions and then there's thousands of people. So it's a strategy to put yourself ahead of the game. And as Dana said, you read the article and you regurgitate their own language right back to them. So if they say that, they've had difficulty finding employees that are, that are philanthropic, we have a strong philanthropic program. all of our employees don't always participate in that. That's something that you can shout on and say, if it's true, don't lie, that this is part of who you are, and you can show that in your bio by the different organizations that you've helped in the past. So it's a way to match make yourself with a company and to get ahead of the game before again they actually post the positions. And it has been successful for my clients. We do it, and they're amazed at the results. Like, wow, I would have never even known that position was open. And it's like, well, exactly, because once it gets posted, that's pretty late into the game. So 85% of all positions are filled through networking. So that is a key tactic in career search. And then on the other side, if you are B2B or business to consume, mostly B2B, Columbus Business First is B2B, but you can read that and again see opportunities for yourself for you to approach a company about utilizing your services. So again, back to the CPA firm, if again you might be reading an article about a company that maybe is having financial difficulties. There would be nothing wrong with you reaching out to them. They obviously need help. So again, it's being strategic and stepping out again of a comfort zone and going after someone that you feel is a good target audience for you. So thanks for bringing that up. Anyone else? Probably getting about out of time.
Yep, I think we're at the top of our hour. Diane, before we hang up, and everybody, if you can hang out for a little bit, some of the things that we have that we know about you from your bio that you shared with us, and you absolutely demonstrated it today, is that you're empathetic, genuine, and compassionate towards all humans. And I appreciate that you demonstrated that today, giving us your expertise, letting us share some of our questions with you. I know on our Central Ohio ATD website, there's links to some of your resources and ways that people can connect to you. And we will share that in a follow-up email as well. So anyone on the call who wants to follow up, I'm sure that's okay if they do that, correct?
Absolutely.
Yep. So as a follow-up, again, thank you so much. We're getting lots of thanks in the chat boxes here. Okay. And check out our Central Ohio website for future events such as this. Hope that you really found this valuable. We will have a very short 3-question survey linked to the follow-up, which will include a recording of today's session. There's a lot of information in here. I was trying to take notes, but I thought I'm going to probably have to go back to the recording and practice my right hand, left hand technique. So thank you so much. Anybody else wants to just come off and give their thanks? Otherwise, we are at a wrap for today. We hope everybody has a great day and stay safe. Thanks again, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Hope
Lots
it
of
was helpful.
comments, Diane, in the chat too. I don't know if you can see them, but lots of positive comments.
Oh, okay, thanks. I cannot see those for some reason. Anyway, but.
Thank you.